Hello, my noble band of outlaws. Outlaw Samurai coming at you live with a video. Yes, I'm back. I know I've been gone a little while, almost 2 weeks, without an upload. But, like I said in my post, I was working through some stuff. Started in March. It appears that it's going to be coming to an end soon. And I am currently both very nervous and very happy. But the thing that I'm going to be talking about in this drivey talky video is actually Invincible. Cue title card. Na. Yeah, you know Outlaw too damn lazy for that editing. The fuck you thought this was? Okay? Teching 101? But in any case, the viltrumites in Invincible are basically dollar store Superman. Omni-Man is basically a dollar store Superman compared to Homelander, who is just fucking Dollar Tree Superman. But therein lies something, because the viltrumites are also very much a Saiyan-like mentality from Dragon Ball, where they are a warrior race. They're the most powerful race in Invincible. And they basically can turn their hands into blades and cut through pretty much anything that is physically weaker than a viltrumite. And that's the thing in Invincible. Whenever you see a character take like damage to their suit, it's kind of like a health bar. Because the way a viltrumite's invulnerability works is basically they can tank anything that is weaker than them. Meaning, let's say for shits and giggles, Dragon Ball power scaling here for a minute. If a viltrumite has a power level of 200, they can tank attacks from anyone below 200. But the moment that they fight someone that's like 220, 250, like above their weight class in essence, that is when they start to accumulate damage. And I know that kind of power difference, especially in Dragon Ball, where only 50 points isn't really that big of a difference, but it gives you a kind of idea of what I'm going for here. And that is that since the viltrumites aren't actually indestructible, as most people would believe, because, again, veteran, powerful viltrumites slaughter lesser viltrumites on a daily in that universe. Not to mention you also have those lizard man Ragnar things that basically rip a viltrumite to shreds. But there was one scene in season 2, I believe, where this old female viltrumite, she had a blade tied into her braided hair. Now, obviously, viltrumite hair would follow the same principles as, I assume, the rest of their body, where their hair is as physically powerful as their physical body is. So, again, that shit is a hell of a damn thing to break. But the thing I want to talk about is that viltrumite woman's weapon was able to cut mark. Meaning that viltrumite steel, which I'm assuming that bladed weapon to be made of is of viltrumite steel, is strong enough to cut viltrumites, meaning that it is strong enough to withstand the physical force that a viltrumite can inflict onto an object. And what I'm getting at here is that if viltrumites really wanted to be the supreme warrior race of the galaxy, they would use weapons, like melee weapons. There would be a group of, I would imagine, like there's a group of viltrumites, at least back when the Viltrumite Empire was an actual empire, not just a handful of pure-blood viltrumites fucking everything in sight, that the viltrumites back when their empire was whole, because we've seen viltrumites use weapons in flashback sequences. Back when Nolan was like a kid and shit. Which Nolan is Omni-Man's Earth name. But in any case, back when Nolan was a kid and the purge was happening, where the viltrumites were all killing each other for only the strongest to survive, we saw some viltrumites use weapons like a bow staff or a javelin. And it got me thinking, like, why don't more of you use weapons? I mean, normally you're punching shit with your bare hands, you're kicking shit with your bare hands. Like, I get that warrior race doesn't necessarily need weapons. I mean, look at the Shaolin monks. A lot of their kung fu, it's like a 50-50 split with Shaolin kung fu, where you have like one half that's like weapons are for the weak, and then the other half is like, no, weapon superiority all the way. I'm on team weapon, swordsman, you know me. I suck at hand-to-hand, but give me a blade and I'll cut down Bruce Lee. That won't ignite comments in the damn comment section. Shots fired! But in any case, with that in mind, the viltrumites not using weapons or refusing to use melee weapons that would amplify their power, because weapons are force multipliers, is a major flaw in my opinion, especially considering, like, with how fast a viltrumite can react to shit. Like, if Nolan wanted to, because a viltrumite's reaction time is stated to be directly equivalent to their travel speed. Meaning that if a viltrumite can react at the speed of light, they can fly at the speed of light. For rough calculation and comparison. Or if a viltrumite can fly at the speed of sound, they can react at the speed of sound. Where the speed of sound is where things start to go into full-on slow motion. Meaning that a viltrumite not only can see like bullets flying at them, but they can catch individual bullets out of mid-air with said reaction time and reflexes. So that also means that they have the ability to physically take, like, say, a sword made from viltrumite steel and actually either just slice the damn bullets mid-flight, like slice them right in half, or literally just bat them out of the way, deflecting them entirely. Like, I could actually see, like, an old master viltrumite swordsman maybe having a scar across his right eye. Like, he comes to Earth, he's wearing a flowing, billowing cloak, like old traditional viltrumite attire before the modern whatever. Like an ancient silver-haired viltrumite, and he's getting bullets fired at him from all directions, and he just stands there with his sword sheathed, and he's just deflecting shit with the guard or the grip, like Zoro did against Hordy during the Fishman Island arc, where he fired those water arrow things at him, where he's just like bing 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 bing, and this old viltrumite is either just tanking the shots because they can't physically pierce him, or he's just like style pointing, just bang 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 bing bing bang bang bing bang, and deflecting all of the damn bullets, not even drawing his blade. Like, I could see it, like maybe even some arrogance where like underdeveloped worms like you are not worthy to die by my blade that has cleaved stars and planets in half. I mean, I wouldn't put it past a viltrumite to have the ability to physically exert enough force, because Nolan himself, Omni-Man himself, did say that he diverted an asteroid the size of Texas away from the Earth in the Invincible story, and I believe that's a canon feat in both story and show and comics. They're kind of doing their own little thing with the show. But I could honestly see, like, an asteroid the size of maybe an F-150, a viltrumite being able to just casually exert enough force to cut the bitch in half, or just slice right through it with a Viltrum steel blade. Which, not even just swords, weapons like bow staffs, spears, halberds, warhammers. Like, I want to see like a medieval Viltrum where they are actually fighting with said weapons. You don't even need to give them physical steel weapons. You can give them fucking plasma blades and all that shit. Like, if you want to go full sci-fi, give them plasma blades. I mean, personally, I prefer old school steel, and there's a reason for that. A lot of the traditional sword techniques that can be utilized with a steel blade, you can't physically utilize with a plasma blade. Even as a Viltrumite, because when Mark and all them fought Thrag on the surface of a fucking sun, yes, they weren't immediately burned to a crisp, but the battle dragged on and they were eventually turned into Hot Pockets. Meaning that a Viltrumite cannot withstand extreme heat. Now, you may be thinking, well, Allah, that's on the surface of the sun, where it's 6,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Plasma burns hotter. Alright? Plasma burns between 6,000 and 8,000 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know the Kelvin measurement. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm a fucking physicist, but I'm not. I do know how to make gunpowder. That's about as physically physical as I physically get with physics. Or is that chemistry? I don't know. I'm stupid. But in any case, I know someone's going to latch onto that comment. It's like, Allah finally admits he's stupid. He doesn't know shit. Never claimed to be an expert in everything. But, aside the point, Viltrumites using melee weapons makes sense. Especially considering that in a universe where most of your other alien species are using like lasers and rockets and projectile weapons, I could actually see like an order of Viltrumite knights, like the Knights of Viltrum, that reject all technology in favor of like ancient ways. Like, the only technology they use is like spacecrafts, and that's it. They don't use communicator, like, I shouldn't say they don't use any technology, because that would lock them onto Viltrum, like, permanently. But what I'm saying is, like, instead of like a very tech-heavy, because normally Viltrumites are very tech-heavy to begin with. They can survive in space by holding their breath for like weeks on end. But they also have spacecrafts, so... Well, never mind. Never mind, because that actually contradicts my thing, because they can fly through space, and like, I could imagine a Viltrumite, like, that order of knights being like extremely skilled navigators, because they would have to find planets eventually with inhabitable atmosphere to breathe and everything. And they like show up to a planet that knows the Viltrumites aren't friendly, and they're attacking this Viltrumite knight, this Knight of Viltrum. And he's just casually standing there, like, blade drawn or spear held aloft. And he's just casually just twirling the spear or twirling the sword and deflecting everything, slicing through missiles and shit. Like, just a one-sided slaughter is what I'm getting at. And these viltrumites, they can be like, we reject the way of the Empire, for we are true viltrumites. We are warriors that embrace both weapon and fist. If the creator of Invincible watches this video, I want you to use this idea of the Knights of Viltrum. Like, give us a medieval style Viltrum. Or better yet, Invincible set in a medieval setting where they think the Viltrumites are gods. Like, Nolan has been like ruling Earth for like 200 years or some shit before Mark was born. My God, make Nolan fucking Julius Caesar. Like, Emperor of Rome-Trum. But in conclusion, the Viltrumites not using physical melee weapons just doesn't make sense to me, especially considering that if the Viltrumites did train with swords, they would essentially more than likely become some of the most powerful swordsmen in fiction. Simply because of their speed, their strength, their reaction time. True, no Viltrumite is going to be soloing the likes of like Krillin from Dragon Ball or any of the Dragon Ball Z fighters at all. Except maybe Yamcha. No, definitely Yamcha. Yamcha trash. Hashtag shit on Yamcha. But in any case, nah. But there's one character in Dragon Ball that just wipes out the Viltrum Empire completely. No diffs, every single one. My boy Yajirobe. He completely just fucking wipes the floor with them. Alright? And if you want to know why, I'll make another video explaining why Yajirobe solos the Viltrumite universe. And this may be a bold claim, but Yajirobe is the entire reason why Dragon Ball didn't end in the Saiyan arc. And I'm going to leave it at that. So until next time, an old band of outlaws, outlaw samurai tells all y'all be crazy rednecks. Safe, use your weapons. I'm out. Peace.